General crime statistics. 1. The United States has one of the highest incarceration rates in the world, with over 2 million people incarcerated. 2. Violent crime in the US has declined since the 1990s, reaching historic lows in recent years. 3. The FBI tracks crime rates nationwide through its Uniform Crime Reporting (UCR) program. 4. In 2022, the violent crime rate was 388 per 100,000 people. 5. Property crimes are more common than violent crimes. They include burglary, larceny theft, and motor vehicle theft. 6. The most common property crime in the US is larceny theft. 7. The violent crime rate varies greatly by region. Cities generally report higher rates than rural areas. 8. Gun violence is a significant issue. In 2022, over 45,000 people died due to firearms, with a large percentage being suicides. 9. The majority of homicides in the US are committed with firearms. 10. The South generally has higher crime rates than other US regions. Homicide and murder. 1. In 2022, the US had approximately 21,000 homicides, reflecting a slight decrease from the previous year. 2. The homicide rate varies by state. Louisiana and Missouri often rank among the highest. 3. Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles are cities that have been highlighted for their homicide rates, though violent crime in these cities has been decreasing. 4. Gang violence accounts for a significant portion of homicides in urban areas. 5. Mass shootings have increased in recent years, with the US experiencing more mass shootings than any other country. 6. The FBI defines mass murder as 4 or more victims killed in one incident. 7. Serial killers have captured public attention. Famous US serial killers include Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and John Wayne Gacy. 8. Most homicide victims know their assailants. Domestic violence is a significant contributor to homicide statistics. 9. The clearance rate for homicides, cases solved, is around 60%, meaning 40% of homicides go unsolved each year. 10. The Golden State Killer was caught decades after his crimes using genetic genealogy. Property crimes. 1. Property crime makes up the majority of crime in the US, with larceny theft being the most reported offense. 2. Motor vehicle theft rates have increased in recent years, particularly in large cities. 3. In 2022, over 700,000 vehicles were stolen in the United States. 4. The average loss from a motor vehicle theft is over $7,000. 5. Burglaries have declined significantly over the past decade. 6. Homeowners in urban areas are more likely to experience burglaries than those in rural areas. 7. Fraud and identity theft have risen with the increase in online transactions and social media usage. 8. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, received over 2 million fraud reports in 2022. 9. In 2022, losses due to fraud in the US exceeded $8 billion. 10. Online scams are a growing problem, with phishing, ransomware, and email fraud among the most common. Drug-related crimes. 1. Drug offenses are one of the leading causes of incarceration in the US. 2. The US war on drugs has led to the incarceration of millions, especially for non-violent offenses. 3. Marijuana legalization has reduced arrests for possession in many states. 4. The opioid epidemic continues to be a major public health crisis, with fentanyl overdoses increasing. 5. In 2021, over 107,000 people died from drug overdoses. 6. Methamphetamine and heroin are major issues in certain regions, particularly the Midwest and Appalachia. 7. The crack cocaine epidemic of the 1980s disproportionately affected urban, African American communities. 8. The U.S. government has spent billions on drug enforcement through the Drug Enforcement Administration, D. 9. Drug cartels and trafficking from Mexico have been linked to the U.S. drug trade. 10. Prescription drug fraud is a growing crime, especially with the overprescription of opioids. White-collar crimes. 1. White-collar crimes include fraud, embezzlement, insider trading, and money laundering. 2. The financial crisis of 2008 led to increased scrutiny and regulation of Wall Street, but few executives were prosecuted. 3. Ponzi schemes are a type of fraud. Bernie Madoff's was the largest in U.S. history, defrauding investors of $65 billion. 4. Identity theft affects millions of Americans each year. 5. Tax fraud is a significant white-collar crime in the U.S., costing the government billions in unpaid taxes. 6. Cybercrime is growing rapidly, including hacking, phishing, and data breaches. 7. Corporate crime often goes underreported but can cause huge financial losses. 8. The FBI's cyber division focuses on investigating major cyber threats. 9. Organized crime syndicates, including the mafia, have historically been involved in money laundering and illegal gambling. 10. Bribery and corruption are less common in the U.S. than in many other countries but still occur. Hate crimes. 1. Hate crimes are crimes motivated by bias against a person's race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, ethnicity, or gender. 2. The FBI recorded over 10,000 hate crime incidents in 2022. 3. Racially motivated hate crimes are the most common in the U.S. 4. Anti-LGBTQ hate crimes have increased in recent years, particularly against transgender individuals. 5. Religious hate crimes target Jewish and Muslim communities most frequently. 6. The Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. 6. Hate Crimes Prevention Act was passed in 2009 to address hate-motivated violence. 7. The Southern Poverty Law Center tracks hate groups, which have grown in number in the past decade. 8. Hate crimes are most common in large cities but can happen anywhere. Youth and crime. 1. Juvenile crime rates have declined in recent years, but violent offenses still occur. 2. Gang involvement is a key factor in juvenile crime in many urban areas. 3. The U.S. Supreme Court banned the death penalty for juveniles in 2005, Roper v. Simmons. 4. Many juveniles are tried as adults for serious crimes, like murder or armed robbery. 5. School shootings are a tragic phenomenon, with the U.S. experiencing more school shootings than any other nation. 6. Cyberbullying has led to juvenile arrests, as laws around digital harassment evolve. 7. Youth drug use is linked to later involvement in criminal activity. 8. Incarcerated youth are more likely to experience recidivism than those given alternative sentencing options. Law enforcement and policing. 1. The U.S. has over 18,000 law enforcement agencies, including federal, state, and local police departments. 2. Police misconduct and brutality have been major public concerns, particularly following the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. 3. The U.S. Supreme Court limits the use of deadly force by police to situations where there is an imminent threat of death or serious injury. 4. Body cameras are increasingly used by police to improve transparency and accountability. 5. The "Defund the Police" movement gained momentum after protests against police violence. 6. Police in the U.S. carry firearms, unlike many other countries where officers are unarmed. 7. The war on drugs has contributed to militarized policing, especially in urban areas. 8. Community policing emphasizes building relationships between police and local communities to reduce crime. 9. The U.S. Marshals Service is responsible for capturing fugitives and serving federal warrants. Criminal justice system. 1. The US has the highest incarceration rate in the world, with 655 inmates per 100,000 people. 2. Private prisons in the US house about 8% of all inmates, raising concerns about profit motives in incarceration. 3. Three-strike laws mandate harsher sentences for repeat offenders, leading to life sentences for non-violent crimes. 4. The death penalty is legal in 24 states, but executions have decreased significantly in recent years. 5. Over 160 death row inmates have been exonerated since 1973, raising concerns about wrongful convictions. 6. Life sentences without parole are common for serious crimes like murder and treason. 7. The U.S. sentencing system allows for both determinate and indeterminate sentences. 8. Bail reform is a hotly debated issue. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info.